What's going on, everybody? Grand Hefe here. Get ready for another episode of Unpopular Opinion. Hey, before we get started, make sure you guys follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Grand Hefe, GRANXJEFE, all one word. Also, make sure you guys follow the Unpopular Opinion Facebook page at Unpopular Opinion 2018. Also, make sure you guys follow the Twitter Unpopular Opinion page at Unpopular 2018. And then I also created an Instagram page as well. So make sure you guys follow the Unpopular Opinion Instagram page. That's at unpopular_opinion 2018. That's unpopular_opinion 2018. That's the Instagram page. Before we get started, also, I'm starting to stream live on YouTube when I go live for the Unpopular Opinion podcast every single Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I am live on YouTube at Unpopular Opinion. So make sure you guys also follow, subscribe to the YouTube page, like, comment, subscribe, share, and all that good stuff. So without further ado, let's go ahead and kick this show off today. We had a lot of football this upcoming weekend. We also had a lot of news coming out of the basketball world that we're going to get into today. Jimmy Butler to the Sixers. Carmelo may be on his last leg. He might have played his last game for Houston. Le'Veon Bell, a no-show. Stay tuned and find that out a little bit later on. But without further ado, let's go ahead and kick this show off. Cowboys and Eagles played last night. Cowboys got the narrow victory yesterday over the Philadelphia Eagles at home. This game kind of surprised me. I didn't think that the Cowboys would have enough to beat the Eagles. Now, this Eagles team is not the same Eagles team as last year. Obviously, they are missing a lot of key pieces. LeGarrette Blount is no longer on this team anymore. He's with the Detroit Lions. Jay Ajayi got hurt earlier in the year. He's not there. So they're missing a lot of key pieces right now. Darren Sproles stay hurt. Their best running back is Smallwood. Now, I'm not sold on Carson Wentz either as a quarterback. I think he's a system guy. I think he has benefited from playing with Doug Peterson. But I think he's better than Dak Prescott. And, when you don't have the same defense, the defense also not playing how they was. Patrick Robinson is no longer on this team no more. Ronald Darby tore his ACL again yesterday. So for me, I just don't. This Eagle team is not the same. I'm not putting a whole lot of stock into. I'm not putting a whole lot of stock into this Eagles team anymore. So for me, this game was a tale of having one team that was clicking on all cylinders, and that's the Cowboys. Not really clicking on all cylinders, but they had it going. Dak Prescott went for 270 yards, and one touchdown through the air. He also had a rushing touchdown. Zeke 151. One touchdown, and this is what we're going to see out of Dak Prescott. If we're really being serious, this is what we're going to come to expect out of Dak Prescott. When everything is going right, when everything is going good, he he can be one of the best quarterbacks in all of the NFL. When he's when everything is going good for him, Dak Prescott can look really good. And when things don't go well, when the teams are expecting him to be the face of the franchise, and they ask him to throw, 40 times a game, you're gonna get games where he doesn't do as good. I mentioned a stat last week. There's been 33 quarterbacks that has thrown, and now that number is up because now it's 34 with Matt Barkley yesterday. There's been 33 quarterbacks, 34 now, that has thrown 275 passing yards in a game this season. That has happened 118 times, plus about another 8 times that happened yesterday. So we're looking at about 126 times a quarterback has thrown for 275 yards in a game. Not one of those quarterbacks out of the 34 have been Dak Prescott in a passing lead. When everything is going good, when the running game is playing good, when the defenses get turnovers as they did last night, Zeke timely carries 6 and 7 yards every single time. When that is happening, Dak Prescott will look amazing. He is a different breed when he's able to hide behind the running game. That's facts. I'm not hating on Dak Prescott. To me, he's just not a really good quarterback. And for me, that's fine. I just don't like when people hype him up. Because he is not that guy. I do a show every Sunday on YouTube, on the RTF Sports Talk YouTube page. Also, make sure you guys follow the RTF Sports Talk YouTube page. We are live there every single Tuesday and Thursday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, and on Sundays, 9:45 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, 9:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7:45 Mountain Standard Time. That's on RTF Sports Talk. Subscribe, hit the notification bell. So you know every time we go live. But I'm live on that channel every Sunday night at halftime. Every Sunday night at halftime, every game, and I talk about all things sports. We obviously we start out talking some NFL football, and then from there, college football, whatever need to be. Dak Prescott is nothing more than a game manager. That's what he is. He's a game manager, and anybody who says otherwise really doesn't. I'm not going to say you don't know football because I don't like disrespecting people like that, but that clearly tells me that you haven't been watching any of the Dallas Cowboys game. That's what that tells me. So for me, the Cowboys got a much needed win yesterday over the division rivalry in the Eagles. I'm pretty sure right now they own that tiebreaker. But this is not a real good football team. The Washington Redskins are 6-3 on the year. The Cowboys and the Eagles are both 4-5. They're both 2 games behind. And the Giants are 1-7 and possibly going to be 1-8 come tonight when they play the San Francisco 49ers. So for me, I think the Redskins is going to win this division. I think they have the best chance. They have the best odds to win this division right now. 2-game lead, and they're playing playing like it. They didn't play very well yesterday. They played a Tampa Bay Buccaneers team that's kind of defeated, kind of depleted right now. They're on their last leg. Nothing exciting is really coming out of Tampa Bay. But you have to give props to Washington. And you have to give props to teams that's going to keep their head down and keep winning. They're winning 6-3 on the year. They're in the driver's seat in the NFC East right now to win the NFC East. I fully expect them to win the NFC East. Now, moving to Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler got traded to the 76ers on, I believe it was on Saturday night or Saturday afternoon, whenever it was. Either way, it was on Saturday, I believe it. Now, the thing with this Jimmy Butler situation is, I think people are expecting this guy to come in and be the savior of the Philadelphia 76ers. I just don't see how that is happening. They are a mediocre team at best right now. They haven't been playing the best basketball. And if you're telling me that Jimmy Butler is going to come in and Jimmy Butler is going to suddenly make that big of an impact, yeah, he's going to definitely help. Getting a talent like Jimmy Butler, 4-time All-Star, or 4-time, defensive team guy, yeah, it's going to help. They're 8-6 right now. They're still going to make the playoffs. I see them being around about the 4th or 5th seed in the East, and I still think that there's at least 3 teams better than them, and that's the Boston Celtics, the Milwaukee Bucks, and the team that I believe is going to be the Eastern Conference representative, and that's the Toronto Raptors with Kawhi Leonard. They got Danny Green. Kyle Lowry has been playing better. Ibaka just had his first 30-point game in, I believe, like 3 or 4 years. This team is clicking right now. They still got Valanciunas. So that Toronto team, I think, is the favorite right now. Boston really hasn't been playing up to snuff, and I said that as well coming into the season. I said it all the way back as last season. When people were saying that if they had Kyrie Irving and Gordon Hayward, that this team would have beat the Cleveland Cavalier team, and I just didn't see that happening. Kyrie Irving is a ball-dominant point guard. When things go wrong, he doesn't look to get others involved. When things go bad, he looks to get his own shot, and that's going to be the detriment, and that's going to be at the detriment of the team. I think we're starting to see that. It's hard to play with a guy like Kyrie Irving, who's supposed to be the point guard, but likes to score. It just doesn't work. Terry Rozier has taken a step back, obviously, because he hasn't played a lot of minutes. Jaylen Brown and Tatum, they're not the same guys that we saw last year. When they had to play loose. Now they got to share time with Gordon Hayward. I said all of this stuff is going to be hard when you're talking about getting back in the swing of things. So for me, the Celtics is probably the second best team. I still give them that because of all the talent. You can't overlook the talent that they have. But just for me, I don't see Jimmy Butler, that team making a strong push with that roster. It's not enough basketballs, but back to Jimmy Butler. Right now, that 76ers team is 21st in offensive efficiency. How is that going to help? How is Jimmy Butler going to help that when you just lost Sark, who was your second best three-point shooter behind J.J. Redick, and Covington, who can also hit the three? Not to mention, you also losing defense. Covington was a first-team defense All-NBA guy last year. You just sent him to Minnesota. You just sent your only other guy outside of J.J. Redick that's going to shoot some threes. Jimmy Butler can shoot it, but he's not consistent there. Jimmy Butler is not that kind of offensive player. Yeah, he's probably going to give you 24, but most of that is effort points. He has improved his shot this year. But Jimmy Butler is a defensive guy. You still got Ben Simmons, who can't hit a three to save his life, even if he fell out the boat in the ocean. That's not his game. So where are your offense going to come from now? Just Jimmy Butler and Joel Embiid. I just don't see that being a formula for success. That's just not me. Everybody is going to overreact to this. Everybody's going to overreact, saying that Jimmy Butler's going to push them over the edge. I don't think so. They're still not there. They I think what I'm more surprised about, and it's not even really the 76ers. What I'm more surprised about is the fact that Minnesota turned down 4 first-round picks from the Houston Rockets. Now, I get it. They probably didn't want to make Houston better. But you probably got no shot because you're going to have to trade Jimmy Butler regardless. Without Jimmy Butler, your team is not going to be going that deep in the playoffs. Even with Jimmy Butler, your team probably wasn't going to go that deep in the playoffs. So if it was me, I take those first round, those 4 first round picks, because you're telling me that Sarge and Covington is going to be the guys that you're going to go move forward with, and you think that's going to be championship caliber team with Covington and Sarge? Now you only got Cat and Wiggins. Like, this team is not a good team. So you take your you take those 4 first round picks, you move Jimmy Butler, and at least you get to stockpile these picks, and hopefully you can probably get some trade value out of these picks. You know, to get a veteran in there that you're going to need to kind of probably help put you over the top. But you got Sark and you got Covington. Now, I know that's going to sound crazy because I'm saying the 76ers lost Sark and Covington, but that's what they needed. That fitted with their team because they don't have any other scorers. If you're Minnesota, your job is to take the best offer for Jimmy Butler. And the best offer for Jimmy Butler, if I have my choice of 4 first round picks, obviously spread it out because they all can't be at the same time, obviously. If I have my choice, 4 first round picks, or I get Sark or Covington, listen, that's an easy decision. So for me, I just don't really understand what the Minnesota Timberwolves was doing and not taking that thing for them. But I get it. You're trading in conference, which I said you should probably never do. To win. But this situation for me is a tad bit different for me. This ain't like trading Kawhi Leonard, a perennial all-star, to the Los Angeles Lakers, making them better. You know, this ain't Kyrie Irving getting traded to the Boston Celtics, where you're still trying to compete in that division. Once you trade Jimmy Butler, if you're the Minnesota Timberwolves, you got no other options. You already punting on the season, because I know management do not believe that they are a championship caliber team with Cat and Andrew Wiggins. So you go ahead and get the best value for him. The Cleveland Cavaliers still had to face that Boston Celtics team in the Eastern Conference Finals when they still had LeBron, when they were still trying to compete. You know, the San Antonio Spurs. Why would I trade Kawhi Leonard to the Lakers with LeBron? Now, they were going to get some pretty nice pieces in return, obviously. You know, they was going to get Ingram and Hart, you know. But why would I do that when I'm still trying to compete for a title? For me, the Minnesota Timberwolves aren't competing for a title with Cat and Wiggins. So, for me, it just didn't make any sense. You take your 4 first round picks and you do your thing there. Not to mention, that was only for a 1-year rental, really, when you think about it, because Jimmy Butler is due for an extension. Who's to say that they were going to have enough money to sign him to a long-term deal? So for me, you make that deal with Houston, and you see what happens after that. Also, let's go ahead and move on. Carmelo Anthony, man. Carmelo Anthony probably has played Carmelo Anthony has probably played his last games in Houston, per reports of ESPN. And for me, man, to me, this is Carmelo Anthony being the scapegoat. You know, they was already setting up the excuses in the offseason when they first signed Carmelo Anthony. Why would you sign Carmelo Anthony? Why would you replace that when you losing your defensive guys? Why would you replace that with a guy that don't? And you know what? I thought this could work only from the standpoint that Mike D'Antoni is also a offensive-minded coach. Also, that Chris Paul is a pass-first type guy, but he does pound the ball a lot. James Harden pounds the ball a lot. But I thought this could actually work. I mean, last year in OKC, people going to say Carmelo had a bad year, and his numbers wasn't there. But people who say he had a bad year, really, to me, I'm going to say you didn't watch the games. Because if you watch the games, you will see a lot of times Westbrook pounding the ball. Yeah, he gets his assists, but you got to watch these games. He's pounding the ball. Paul George pounding the ball. And then they give it to Carmelo as a last option. Well, yeah, now I got no choice but to shoot it up. You know, I also said last year Carmelo Anthony had the highest three-point field goal percentage of his career. That didn't look like a guy that was falling off to me. This year, he wasn't starting. He's only played in 2 games. 10 games. He started in 2 of those. Just for me, you just can't get no rhythm like that. So to me, Carmelo Anthony is going to be the fall guy. Now, let me get this clear. By no means am I saying that Carmelo Anthony is a great player. Do not get me wrong. Do not get me wrong in saying that. But to say Carmelo Anthony is the reason for the reason for their struggles, that's crazy talk to me. The Houston Rockets was 7 in defense last year. Now they're 19th. That ain't because of Carmelo Anthony. That's because Daryl Morey decided to let Trevor Ariza walk. That's because Daryl Morey decided to let Luka Matamute walk. That's the reason why they're bad right now. Not to mention their defensive coach left them last year. For me, if Carmelo is the problem, why are you reaching out to your old defensive coordinator? That don't sound like Carmelo is the problem. Now, Carmelo ain't helping the problem, but that doesn't tell me Carmelo is the problem. That's crazy to me. So it's a team that's not playing defense. They're not good, period. They were like 7th in the league. They were also in the top of offensive efficiency last year. Now I think there's something like 20. That ain't because of Carmelo. That ain't just because of one guy. It's because you also decided to pay Clint Capela $90 million who can't score the basketball unless he catching lobs because he has no offensive game. So now you're solely relying on Chris Paul. You're solely relying on James Harden. And you're solely relying on Carmelo Anthony to pick up the slack for everybody else. But since Carmelo Anthony is the new guy, let's just blame him. It didn't work in New York. It didn't work in OKC. So let's just blame Carmelo right now. That's to me, I just don't agree with that at all. So for me, Carmelo Anthony, he's not played well. I would rather them just go ahead and get rid of Carmelo Anthony now and cut ties. But the real problem is you got 2 guys on this roster making over $100 million. One of those guys making over $200 million. How about put some onus on him? He's an MVP. He's a MVP of this league. If this was happening on a Laker team, we will be talking about, has LeBron lost it? Is he declining? Every other team, the superstar really gets blamed for the struggles. Not this time. We're going to blame Carmelo Anthony, a guy who's only making $1.5 million this year. When you got Chris Paul making $160 million, when you got James Harden making $200 million, you got Clint Capela making $90 million. How about let's start with those guys? Because if you ask me, the best guys on the team get paid the most money, regardless of the market. And we seen the market, give guys a lot of money. Ryan Anderson, $80 million, who didn't deserve it. But he wasn't the highest paid guy on that team. The best guys are the highest paid guys on that team. And you got 3 of them. One making $100 million, one making $200 million, the other one making $90 million. How about let's start there? Moving along to the NFL. The Saints. The Saints is on a roll. The Saints, to me, right now, is the best team in the NFL. Hands down, the Saints are the best team in the NFL. Drew Brees went 22 of 25, 265, 3 touchdowns yesterday. Mark Ingram, 13 carries, 104 yards and a touchdown. Alvin Kamara, 12 carries, 56 yards. He had 2 touchdowns. Michael Thomas, 8 catches for 70 yards, 2 touchdowns. This team is a scoring machine. This team is built to win a championship. And I think they probably would have had a better chance of winning the Super Bowl last year had they had, Stephon Diggs, Case Keenum not had a miracle play. I think this Saints team would have beat the Philadelphia Eagles last year. I think they were better equipped to beat the Eagles than the Minnesota Vikings was with Case Keenum last year. I think they go on a revenge tour this year. They will be the 2nd seed in the NFC. Although the Rams, again, they didn't look impressive to me yesterday. I said this on the live show that I do on Sunday nights at 7:30 Mountain Standard Time, 9:30 Eastern Standard Time, which is normally around halftime of the Sunday night game. I just like to put a time on it. I said it yesterday. I wasn't impressed with the Rams again yesterday. Yeah, they scored 36 points, but they playing against a bad Seahawks defense to me, and they playing against Russell Wilson, who really doesn't have any help. outside of Doug Baldwin, and is that really help? And Russell Wilson, to me, is just not a great quarterback. You got Aaron Donald, who's the bright spot on that team. He had 2.5 sacks yesterday. Suit added on to that. But these corners are not good. Talib is still out. Marcus Peters has looked like a shell of himself. So for me, this Rams team is beatable. This Rams team is very beatable. And they lost Cooper Kupp yesterday. Now they still got Brandon Cooks. They still got Todd Gurley. Obviously, Jared Goff is there, but this team is beatable, and I think they will be beat in the NFC Championship game when they face the Saints. I think the NFC Championship game is gonna feature the New Orleans Saints against the Los Angeles Rams in LA. I said it yesterday. That's also gonna help the Saints. They play in a dome. LA is hot, so it's just like playing in a dome. So for me, the Saints is rolling right now. They got the best team. They got the best quarterback. They have 2 running backs that's good. I know Todd Gurley is probably going to win the MVP, but the Saints got 2 running backs in Ingram and Kamara. They got who I believe is one of the hottest receivers in football right now, who catches everything that comes his way. I think that's a recipe for success. The defense playing pretty good. Marcus Lattimore, he had a pick yesterday. And, this is what I do love about the Saints, man. Every time they scored yesterday, they threw up the X for Dez Bryant. Marcus Lattimore and then that defense, when they got that interception, they ran to the end zone, they threw up the X for Dez Bryant. That shows you the kind of guy that Dez Bryant is. Regardless of all the negative stuff that has been said about Dez Bryant in his career, which is crazy to me because it seemed like only certain guys get tagged with being too emotional or being a cancer in the locker room. And I don't mean to go here, but it seemed like it's always the black players. Dez Bryant and these guys, they show emotions, and oh man, they're locker room cancer. Tom Brady can cuss out the offensive coordinator, can cuss out the coaches, can cuss out his teammates, can get mad at anybody. Aaron Rodgers can show frustration on the sideline when when somebody else do bad. And that gets looked at as these guys are competitors. These guys want to win. You got guys like Dez Bryant and them who do this, and they get looked and T.O. These guys get looked at as locker room cancers. They act like babies. They don't want, they don't know how to be a professional. Why is that? Why is that these guys get tagged with not being team players and all this other stuff, but guys like Tom Brady, this and Aaron Rodgers, this stuff get looked at as, oh, that's leadership. That's what leaders do. You get on the players that's messing up. That's leaders. You argue with your coach. Oh, that's being a leader. Oh, Tom Brady's so passionate. He's so No, man. Like, if it's one thing for this player, it got to be the same for this other player. And that really shows the world of sports that we're in now. But it shows, back to the topic. It shows how much of a good teammate Dez Bryant, or what kind of impression that Dez Bryant showed on those guys in just 2 days of practice. 2 days of practice, everybody that scored yesterday, outside of Drew Brees, threw up the X. And Drew Brees, I don't know if I really expect him to do that. Everybody else, Michael Thomas, Ingram, Kamara, everybody did it. Marcus Lattimore in that defense. Everybody did it. That shows you what kind of guy that he is, what kind of teammate he is, despite all the rumblings and all that other stuff that he's a locker room cancer. I don't believe that, I played with that same kind of passion. Granted, I never played in the NFL, but I played with that same kind of passion when I was an athlete. That's the only way that I can play the game, with passion, letting the emotions out. That's what it's about. But certain guys get labeled as guys who are locker room cancers, and certain guys get labeled as, oh, that's leadership. You either got to pick one and go with it. No flip-flopping. Moving along to some college football. Last week, we didn't really, on Saturday, we didn't really have a lot of good games as far as games that really mean anything. Nobody in the top 10 lost. Alabama won, Clemson won, Notre Dame won, Michigan won, Georgia won, Oklahoma won, barely. But I want to say something about that. For me, I think the top 6 stays the same. Alabama, Clemson, Notre Dame, Michigan, Georgia, Oklahoma. I think it stays the same People are going to talk about Oklahoma, but I talked about this last night. For me, Oklahoma has a good problem. To me, Oklahoma is the Kansas City Chiefs of college football. Now, that's not to say they're the best offensive team in college football, but the correlations are the same, meaning neither team plays good defense, but have a high-powered offense. And when you have a high-powered offense, that's a good problem to have. When you can score points with just about anybody else in your sport, that's a good problem to have. Forget playing defense. The Rockets really didn't play great defense last year. Now, they played good defense. Don't get me wrong. They played good defense last year, but they were outscoring teams. But when you can't score and you have a bad defense, that's the problem. For me, that's Ohio State. Ohio State haven't looked good. Now, people are going to overblow what they did against Michigan State on Saturday, but if you watch that game, the score really didn't indicate really how that game went. Ohio State is still struggling, offensively and defensively. They're still struggling. Oklahoma don't have that problem. Oklahoma can score points with anybody in college football. Kyler Murray is for real. Marquise Hollywood Brown is for real. The Brooks, because all their other running backs was hurt this game, he's for real. You know, he is for real. Now, that game against Oklahoma State was a lot closer. If you watch the game, they call a run back on Brooks that he busted off about 30 yards. He was getting it in, and he was in the red zone, and they called that back off of a fluky play. They called a flag that should not have been a flag, but they were in that situation nonetheless. But Oklahoma has been this way all year long. You know, the committee haven't just found out that they can't play defense. They haven't been able to play defense all alone. You know, they've been a bad defensive team all year. But guess what they had all year? They had an offense that can score points regardless. And the committee still put them up there. Why? Because they felt that with Oklahoma offense, they could still score with anybody in the country. West Virginia had a pretty good game as well. Maybe West Virginia could move up. I don't really see the committee shaking up anything right now, especially being that Oklahoma and West Virginia is still going to have to, you know, they're still going to have to play each other. They're still going to have to work that out. There will be a Big 12 championship game. So, it's not a Big 12 championship game, but everybody in the Big 12 play each other. Unlike the rest of the conferences where there's a conference championship, the Big 12 doesn't do that because obviously everybody plays. I know they were talking about one time, one time everybody having a conference championship. But I think that Big 12, that's going to work itself out. Well, they obviously do have a Big 12 championship game. Just the best two teams from those games. Well, let me walk it back. Their Big 12 championship is whoever have the best record coming out of there, head to head, all that other stuff. Because the Big 12 is the only conference that plays everybody in the conference. Everybody play each other. The SEC doesn't do that. The ACC doesn't do that. The Pac-12 doesn't do that. That's why they have, the Pac-12 West, the Pac-12 South, and all that other stuff. The ACC Coastal Division, the ACC Atlantic Division, the SEC West, the SEC East, so forth, so on. I was stumbling over my words there. Had to clear that up. But that's gonna work itself out, But I think the Big 12 still have a lot of room to go. Alabama is going to get in. Alabama will be the SEC champion. They will be undefeated. Clemson is going to get in. They're going to be undefeated. They're going to be the ACC championship. They're going to win the ACC championship. Michigan, I think, will win out. They will beat Ohio State in 2 weeks at the Horseshoe. They will win out. Michigan gets in. Now, this is where it's going to get a little dicey for me, and this is where Oklahoma or West Virginia may have a chance to slide in. I do not believe Notre Dame is going to go undefeated. If Notre Dame goes undefeated, they get in. We got no worries with the top four, Alabama, Clemson, Notre Dame, Michigan. They're going to get in. But I think Notre Dame will lose a game. I think they're going to lose to USC the last game of the year. USC is not a great team, but USC is a team that you might want to look out for. So I think Notre Dame loses one game, they're out because they don't play a conference championship at all because they're not really in a conference. They are a partial ACC member football wise. That's why they play teams like Florida State and all these other teams. But I think Notre Dame will lose the game, and depending on how impressive Oklahoma and them is, I think they get in. Now, it's also going to be, being that Georgia is ranked number 5 ahead of Oklahoma and Washington State and West Virginia. If Georgia gets blown out in the SEC championship game, that's the only way I see Oklahoma and them getting in. Maybe a 2-loss Georgia team could get in if they play Alabama close and it's like a 3-point game. Alabama win by like 3 points or something. I can see Georgia still getting in under that stipulation, because the committee is still going to say, well, they lost to a number 7 ranked LSU on the road in Death Valley, which is a tough place to play. They went to Kentucky and beat Kentucky, which I don't see Kentucky being a good team. Obviously, they lost to Tennessee this week. I've been saying that for the longest. I don't know how the committee thought that a 2-loss Kentucky team is still the number 11 best team in the country. I don't see that. They don't really punish losing. But I can see the committee still saying, we need these ratings. Notre Dame lost. Let's put Georgia in there. Let's shake this thing up a little bit. I can easily see that happening. So, but for right now, I don't see any changes happening in the top 10. I definitely think the top 6 stay the same. Moving along to the final topic of the day. Le'Veon Bell is expected not to report to the Pittsburgh Steelers and expected to sit out all year long. I didn't think this was going to happen. I thought he was going to sign the tender. I thought he was going to wait all year long. I thought he was going to wait right up until week 11. He still has until tomorrow to sign the tender. I don't think it's going to happen. Obviously, reports are coming out saying that he's not going to report. But I thought Le'Veon Bell would sign the tender, and I thought he would play this year. I didn't see this happening. Now everybody, but the Steelers are rolling. The Steelers have been playing some really good football. They have won 5 straight. They are ahead of that NFC North division. AFC North division. With Baltimore losing, with Baltimore on a bye, the Browns won yesterday. My beloved Browns. Which we are way better than what our record suggests. The Cleveland Browns should be 3 games better than what they are right now. Right now we're 3-5-1. 3-6-1. I keep forgetting 3-6-1. We should be 7-3. Or at least 6-4 right now. 6-4 right now. We should have won that game against Pittsburgh Steelers at the first start of the year. Missed the field goal in overtime to win that game. Missed the extra point against New Orleans, and should have beat Oakland, but it wasn't. If it wasn't for 2 bad calls by the refs, so we should be way better than what we are now. 6-4 at least, challenging the Pittsburgh Steelers right now, because we would be 1-1 against them. But nonetheless, the Steelers have won 5. The Steelers have won 5 straight. They've been on a roll. They are atop of that AFC North division at 6-2-1. And everybody's overreacting right now, and I get it, man. James Conner he's played well. Don't get me wrong. Don't get what I'm saying that he hasn't played well. But what I'm just saying is his numbers are a tad bit skewed. He has 11 total touchdowns this year, 1 passing, 10 rushing, over 1,000 yards on the ground, 1,158 scrimmage yards. But this is what people won't discuss. Big Ben is on pace for his first ever 5,000 yard season. He's never been a 5,000 yard passer. Now he's been close, but he's never had 5,000 yards. Now you telling me 5,000 yard Big Ben, the way Big Ben is playing this year, because you actually have to watch these games. Big Ben is playing some good football, and Big Ben is the reason why they're 6-3-1 right now. Because that defense at the start of the season was playing god awful. Big Ben was the reason why they're in this game. So you give Le'Veon Bell that. You give Le'Veon Bell that right now. A Big Ben who's playing as hot as he's ever played in his career. You give Le'Veon Bell that and see what Le'Veon Bell stats would be right now. I guarantee you they'll be off the charts. They will be off the charts. Not to mention, now James Conner has had some good games. The games where he's been over 100 yards, those have been the games that he scored multiple touchdowns in. But James Conner has also had 17 yards against Kansas City. He's also had 61 yards on 15 touches against Tampa Bay. He's also had 19 yards against Baltimore. Good backs don't have games like that. Say what you want to say. Good backs don't have games like that. So when you're watching James Conner, he also gets a lot of touchdowns when they're on the goal line. He's taking advantage of being on the goal line. They give him the ball and he scores. Kudos to you, my guy. But what I'm saying is people are overblowing this situation. He's playing good, yes, but this team will not win a Super Bowl. This team will not beat the Patriots. This team will not beat the Kansas City Chiefs without Le'Veon Bell. They are a really good team with James Conner, but they are over the top with Le'Veon Bell. We're talking about a guy last year, 321 carries, 85 receptions last year. 261 carries the year prior, 75 receptions. He's been over 80 receptions 2 times in his career. That's the guy that the Pittsburgh Steelers is going to miss come playoff time when that experience start kicking in. And James Conner looks lost. Listen, I'm not hating on James Conner. He's just no Le'Veon Bell, and a lot of his statistics are a tad bit skewed, especially if you're only looking at the numbers alone and not the games. That's going to be it for today, guys. Make sure you tune into the Unpopular Opinion podcast on Wednesday, 11 a.m. right here on Spreaker. Also, my YouTube live didn't work today, but we will have that fixed on Wednesday. Sorry for the inconvenience there. Make sure you guys tune into RTL Sports Talk on tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. Also, make sure you guys subscribe to the YouTube page, Unpopular Opinion. Make sure you subscribe to the Facebook page, Unpopular Opinion 2018. The Twitter page, Unpopular Opinion page, at Unpopular 2018. And the Instagram Unpopular Opinion page, at Unpopular_Opinion 2018. Thank you guys for all the love and support. I will see you guys tomorrow, RTL Sports Talk.
If it's meant to be, then it will, God willing. Sky's the limit, and I'm busting out the ceiling. Starting to get to the point where I don't catch feeling. Just counting these millions, I need 100 a show. If you can't pay, it's enough. I would never sell my soul. That's the truth, Lord knows. All I need is good vibes, so I don't trust these hoes. I done lost my bros. That's just how the game goes. Came a long way, get it straight. They want the food on my plate. They don't want to see me strive, but want a piece of the cake. All I need is good vibes, and everything will be great. But they rather tell lies. I don't have time for the fake. Over the new, praying to God, asking what do I do? I've been the truth since I came out the womb. Keep it 100, got nothing to lose, got nothing to fear. Let it be clear, God got my back when nobody else.